¿Qué pasa YouTube? 6fthax here. Have for you guys today a pretty fun RU battle I had against Jordy off of my Discord. I want to say thank you to all of you who actually left food comments on yesterday's question of the day. Of course, with a food comment, you have to have a drink. So let me know in the comment section down below, guys, what is your favorite drink to drink while you are eating your food? Unless you don't drink while you're eating food, because I know some people who eat and then they drink water. Like, they don't drink while they're eating, and I don't know, I've always found that to be odd. But yeah, let me know. The battle's already started. So this is a cool team that I used in a Showdown Live, and I'll link the Showdown Live down below. But I think I got it off the forums, I'm not really too sure. But if you guys do enjoy the video, make sure to hammer arm that like button down below, of course. Now, he led off with Rotom as I led off with Swallow. Turn 1, I'm a madman and switched Donphan directly in to Rotom. I was pretty sure he wouldn't go straight for the Leaf Storm. It would have been a little bit aggressive for him to go straight for the Leaf Storm. Luckily, though, he didn't. And as he brings in the Milotic, all my Stealth Rocks, it turns out that he's Flame Orb, which is actually really annoying. Luckily, I do kind of have a hard counter to Milotic in the form of my Toxicroak. Unfortunately, though, he has a Donphan, which at the same time kind of hard walls my Toxicroak because I don't have the Ice Punch. So I'm gonna double out into my Slowbro, which honestly I kind of like shiny Slowbro. I know that the tail color is a little bit odd and the purple may not be to everybody's liking, but I kind of like it. Like, I'm probably not gonna use another shiny Slowbro, but I don't know why I was shiny in this matchup. Either way, though, I catch the incoming Donphan. I can apply pressure to him, prevent him from spinning because Moltres is a humongous problem, and I have no switch-ins to Moltres. I also don't have a good switch-in to the Rotom Mo, which I'm really happy he didn't switch into here on my Skull because he thought I could have potentially gone for the Ice Beam or even the Flamethrower. As I switched directly into my Doublade, him knocking off here was a very good play on his part because he knew I wouldn't stay in, fearing a Mega Horn obviously, and he's able to get rid of the Violite on my Doublade. But my Doublade is really only here for the Excavalier, so at the same time I don't kind of mind losing the Violite because I've already got off some decent chip damage on Excavalier, and as long as he doesn't spin, then he's going to be taking more chip damage from the rocks. So here, positive he wouldn't go for the spin or just go for his rocks or Earthquake. I hard switch directly into my Swallow. Unfortunately, though, he reveals to have the knockoff on his Donphan as well, getting rid of my Ferris Choice Specs, which is a little bit annoying, but this is also kind of good because his Excavalier can no longer deal with my Swallow because I can then just switch up to Heat Wave and knock him out. The unfortunate side is, though, I really cannot do anything to this Milotic. Like, after rocks damage and burn damage and boom burst damage, it looks like I can maybe knock him out with the next one if I get a really high damage roll, but I think I get a lower damage roll, funny enough, and he lives and he's going to be able to go for the recover even after the burn damage. There's no way I'm going to knock him out because he's well over 50% HP, but I want to be aggressive here on the off chance that he does want to try and maybe Ice Beat me, thinking that he doesn't have use for his Milotic, which as long as I'm able to break either Milotic or Donphan, this match is going to go so much better for me because I need to break one of his two walls if I want my powerhouses to just break through. So here I'm gonna go for the U-turn, thinking, okay, maybe now he's gonna feel like going for the Ice Beam, thinking I'm just gonna stay in and keep spamming Boom Burst. But he does end up going for the recover, which isn't too bad, but it does mean his Milotic is at full HP. So I'm gonna make a aggressive move here, and I'm actually gonna go for the Swords Dance. Now, I thought that him switching into Donphan was way too obvious because he had already done it earlier in the match, and I had already doubled predicting that. So I thought that maybe he would double again. Maybe he would predict me to double here and leave in Milotic, and now I'm a +2. I'm Z-move. I have the Gunk Shot, which is going to be turned into Acid Downpour. This is +2 stab against a +1 defense Milotic. I think this is my first time using this move on Wi-Fi, and I actually really like the animation. I think it looks pretty awesome, and surprisingly enough, Milotic just dies. I was not expecting the Acid Downpour to just straight Oko Milotic after a little bit of chip damage, which is crazy because it was at +1 because of Marble Scale and the burn, and I luckily forced him into the Moltres here. Unfortunately, he does miss the Hurricane there. That miss definitely mattered because he would have knocked me out, although he could have also just gone for the Fire Blast, not having to risk the Hurricane or if he had Flamethrower, then that definitely was his better play. And I'm able to get off a huge hit on the Moltres, not wanting to risk him playing around with Sucker Punch and not wanting him to be behind a sub. I go for the Drain Punch, and then that's why I Drain Punched again, because I was expecting him to maybe want to try and go for the Roost, as I'm able to knock him out because he lost his flying typing. In comes the Donphan. I don't have the Ice Punch, so I'm going to try to do as much damage as I can to this Donphan. At this point, I don't really care if he wants to spin away the rocks because I've already taken down the Moltres. I really only needed rocks for Moltres, and I can still kind of deal with the Rotom Mo, although it is going to be a little bit annoying. I do unfortunately get a crit with the Drain Punch. I'm not entirely too sure if that crit actually ends up mattering, because there is a chance he wasn't running any Spadef EVs, so I'm pretty sure Swallow most likely still would have been able to knock him out with this Boom Burst, unless I had got like an absolutely low damage roll. So down goes the Donphan, which is really great. My rocks are here to stay, as in comes the Rotom, which at this point I'm thinking is scarfed. This thing is still kind of a humongous nuisance, so I'm gonna leave in my Swallow here. As it turns out, he's not scarfed, and he's actually gonna be spexed, as he's gonna go for the Leaf Storm and just knock out my Farah after raining some justice from above. So down goes my Swallow. This is fine though, because this gives me a switch into Orisa, my Heracross, and at this point he doesn't really have a comfortable switch into this. Yes, he does have the Comfy, but I could be banded, and if he switches that in, it could get to a KO potentially. So I thought by bringing in Heracross here, I could either knock out the Rotom or knock out this Excavalier, which, much to my surprise, I actually knock out in one shot. I really thought that it was going to take 2 close combats to knock out the Excavalier, but I'm either underestimating the power of Heracross or just overestimating the bulk of Excavalier. Either way though, down it goes. In comes the Comfy. This thing gets priority on Draining Kiss, which is super effective to Heracross because its ability gives it priority, but it's super effective because its Fairy type. Heracross is a fighting type, so don't want to stay in, and I switch directly to my Doublade, as he does make a good play there. It goes for the Calm Mind. Also, there was a good chance that I probably wasn't going to 2-KO him with the close combat, plus if I did stay in to try and close combat, that would make me at -2 Spadef, and then this Comfy will be at +1 special attack, so initially he'd be at +3 special attack. So at that point, switching to something into this could have been potentially bad. Although a +1 Draining Kiss doesn't do entirely too much damage to Doublade, I don't want to take 3 when I can just go ahead and take 2 instead, potentially, if it comes down to it. So he did Calm Mind on my first switch and gets a crit on his Draining Kiss. That is fine though, because it's not going to do enough to the point where it's going to knock me out. And funny enough, if this Comfy had HP ground for my Doublade, I'm pretty sure that this thing would have been able to 1v1 the rest of my team, depending on what his set was, because it might have come down to a Calm Mind war with my Slowbro unless he had Taunt on his Comfy. Luckily though, doesn't have the HP ground, plus if he did have the HP ground, there was a good chance he wouldn't have the Taunt. So Slowbro might have been able to beat him at that point, depending on how things went. And at this point, his last mon is the Rotom. I can afford to not have the Shadow Sneak here, because I can then just bring in my Heracross to knock out the Rotom with the close combat. But he actually ends up going for the trick, maybe thinking I would want to switch out and I'm going to be able to knock him out with the Iron Head, and that is going to be the victory in my favor. So good game to Jordy here. His channel link will be down in the description. I'm pretty sure he does upload, because I think he uploaded a battle that we had before too. So I'll leave that down in the description. And with all that being said, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Check out the 2 videos on the end screen. Later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in a knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.